the frozen wilderness of Alaska lies a region where thousands have disappeared without any explanation. 20,000 missing amongst the snowstorms, forests, rivers, lakes, and mountains of Alaska. Today we look into what happened and what might be going on in this mysterious area of the Alaskan wilderness, known as the Alaskan Triangle. Good Wednesday evening, everybody, and welcome to this installment of From the Tomb with Cadoom. I am your host, Lucas Cadoom Cadoo, and here we go. We are cracking open the Triangle files again today. We've touched on the one close to home at Lake Michigan. We've hit the big one, Bermuda. And now we're cracking open one in a place that's always fascinated a multitude of my interests, and that's in Alaska. Today is episode 6, part 3 of the Triangle Files, the Alaskan Triangle. Between the towns of Juneau, Anchorage, and what was formerly known as Barrow, I'm not going to try and pronounce it and butcher the name. Alaskan Triangle. Known for its rugged wilderness, the landscape features steep, jagged mountain ranges, including the Alaska Range and Utqiagvik Mountains, millions of lakes, extensive glaciers with deep hidden crevasses, and dense, tangled forests. The terrain is exceptionally difficult to traverse with shifting snow, glaciers, and steep uncharted valleys. The area spans over 200,000 to 400,000 square miles of mostly uninhabited, untouched wilderness. Temperatures here are intensely cold, with temperatures often dropping below negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit in the interior regions. Winter temperatures can drop to negative 50 degrees Fahrenheit or lower. The region experiences heavy snowfalls, particularly along the coastal mountains, where it can reach 50 feet in a single winter, causing massive, frequent avalanches. Sudden severe storms are common, often reducing visibility to zero and causing intense whiteout conditions in the matter of seconds on unsuspecting travelers. And the area is subject to high winds, which are particularly common during the autumn and winter months. Also, the northern part of the triangle experiences extreme seasonal variations in daylight, including months of near total darkness, what Alaskans call the polar night. A few of the local factors that contribute to some of these disappearances are the glacial movements. The region is heavily glaciated and the ice is constantly shifting. That can swallow aircraft, debris, and people, making recovery efforts nearly impossible. Reports also suggest that the magnetic anomalies in the area contain regions of the Alaskan Triangle that can cause compasses to deviate by as much as 30 degrees. Then, the region is seismically active, featuring many volcanoes and experiencing major earthquakes which can cause sudden, dramatic landscape changes, also making it easy for things to disappear. And has been the site of 20,000 disappearances since the early 70s, is the Alaskan Triangle. The area is known for having extremely rugged conditions, including year-round snowfall, dense wilderness, and massive glaciers with caves and crevasses. The odds of finding anything lost are extremely slim, and the odds of a hiker falling into a pit or losing their tracks is extremely high. Even plains can be quickly covered by snowfall. Be sure to keep in mind throughout this episode that Alaska is more than twice the size of Texas, and most of it is still uninhabited, including most of the Alaskan Triangle. Now, As I've said, there are 20,000 people that have gone missing in this area. But we are going to cover a few of the cases and a bunch of the theories on why this might be. And one of the biggest cases of this area may just be that of the disappearance of Hale Boggs. This is the case that put the Alaska Triangle on the map as a point of public fixation. On October 16th, 1972, U.S. House Majority Leader Hale Boggs and Representative Nick Bygich were on board the twin-engine Cessna 310 plane along with Russell Brown, Bygich's aide, and the pilot Don Johns. Boggs had been visiting Bygich during a campaign trip, but at some point during their flight, the plane seemingly vanished into thin air. When word of the plane's sudden disappearance hit D.C., it started the largest search operation up to that point in history. 40 military aircraft and 50 civilian planes aided in the search, which spanned 325,000 square miles and lasted more than 3,600 hours. 39 days later, nothing was found at all, not a trace of the plane or anyone on it. The search was called off, and the incident prompted Congress to pass a law mandating that all U.S. civil aircraft be equipped with emergency locator transmitters. Not long after the conspiracy started, one pertaining to Boggs' membership on the Warren Commission set up by President Lyndon B. Johnson to investigate the JFK assassination, and his dissenting opinion on the Commission's report pointing to one shooter. Boggs believed that the Kennedy assassination may have involved multiple individuals, and theorists think he was assassinated for digging into the wrong thing too much. However, Boggs' plane was not the first, nor was it the last, to disappear in the Alaskan Triangle. This is just the start of the major cases that form the pattern. So let's talk about the pattern. In 1950, a military aircraft carrying 44 people also vanished without a trace. A Cessna 340 carrying 4 as well in 1990. The mystery doesn't stop there, though. It is staggering looking at the number of individual people that have gone missing. More than 16,000 since 1988. Just to put it into a perspective for you, that's roughly 4 out of every 1,000 people in Alaska. More than double the national average. The National Missing and Unidentified Persons System, known as NAM-US, is a centralized database used by law enforcement to show cases of missing persons cases in one place that can be identified across the country to look for different motives or ties or connections in between these cases to try and figure things out. They also record the history and reasonings and possible reasons of the disappearances in the country. In the database, Alaska consistently ranks among the states with the highest number of disappearances per capita. And they say that a combination of the extreme terrain, the vast wilderness, and the unpredictable weather makes search efforts incredibly difficult, amongst the area being largely uninhabited, so none of it has been documented or is known very well to anybody in a general sense. But I don't want you to forget, that database records all missing people, and those aren't what we're looking at. You can imagine in Alaska, a lot of people basically homestead for their livelihoods. They hunt, they fish, they trap, they do the things they need to do out in the wilderness to make sure they stay alive day to day. We aren't looking at those kind of cases here on From the Tomb. We are looking at the ones that are unexplainable. The people that disappear without a trace. The things that shouldn't be able to disappear that do. The oddities in the world that none of us can explain that fascinate us all. Like the disappearance of the Douglas C-54 Skymaster in the Alaskan Triangle. The C-54 Skymaster was a militarized version of the Douglas DC-4, an unpressurized airliner powered by 4 Wasp piston engines. They entered service in 1944, provided with uprated engines serving in all theaters during World War II. By 1950, it was being phased out of United States Air Force service, but large numbers were still in use. On Thursday, January 26, 1950, C-54D serial number 42-82469 of the 1st Strategic Support Squadron was detailed to fly U.S. servicemen from Elmendorf Air Force Base in Anchorage, Alaska, to Great Falls Air Force Base in Montana. The aircraft had 8 crew members, a pilot, co-pilot, instructor pilot, navigator, radio operator, and 3 flight engineers. The passengers were 34 U.S. servicemen and 2 civilians, a woman and her child. The C-54 attempted to take off during the morning of January 26th, but problems with an engine forced it to stay grounded. It finally departed around 1 p.m. local time on what was planned to be a 9-hour flight, crossing some of the most rugged and desolate terrain in North America. The weather was clear but cold, negative 25 at ground level in some places. Most of the journey, the C-54 used Airway Amber 2, an air route established during World War II which followed the Alaskan Highway. In 1950, the route was provided with a radio station and emergency strip about every 100 miles. The aircraft was required to make regular reports as is standard. At 3:09 p.m. local time, around 2 hours after takeoff, they made a routine report that it was flying at 10,000 feet over SNG in Yukon. It expected to reach the next radio station 30 minutes later. That was the last time anyone heard from the Skymaster. Despite massive and continuing searches, there remains no clue as to what may have happened to it. A search was launched when the plane didn't arrive. The search was aided by the fact that large numbers of U.S. aircraft and troops were already in Alaska for Exercise Sweetbriar. Up to 85 U.S. and Canadian aircraft took part in the search, assisted by 7,000 men on the ground. It seemed impossible that this large of an aircraft just vanished, but that is exactly what happened. At the time, no radar coverage was in place in the area to give a clue as to the plane's fate, despite what was then one of the largest search operations ever undertaken. No trace was ever found of the craft crew or passengers. There were unconfirmed reports of faint, garbled radio transmissions, and the sightings of smoke and people who might have been survivors. But most of these were found to originate with troops taking part in the exercise, and none were ever proven to be attributable to the craft. 3 other planes crashed during the search, though fortunately all 3 were quickly located with no fatalities. The search continued until Valentine's Day, when the United States Air Force abruptly switched focus to look for a missing nuke. Don't worry, it wasn't live. It was just a training weapon containing lead instead of radioactive material. But it was still a highly secret device that took precedent over the missing aircraft. In the time since the crash, no trace has ever been found. And that is still truly unimaginable. So, with all that being said, we can talk about the different theories behind the Alaska Triangle. We can talk about the realistic theories like the harsh weather and the harsh terrain, the blizzards and storms and all time nights and not being able to see, and how just brutally cold it gets every night in Alaska. But there's many other not so explainable theories that happen as well. According to the Travel Channel, one theory regarding the Alaska Triangle and disappearances in the region comes from a strange report made to the Federal Aviation Administration in 1986. The report claimed that Japan Airlines Flight 1628 had encountered 3 unidentified flying objects, also known as unidentified aerial phenomena. The pilot reported that they initially believed the craft to be military before realizing that the objects were keeping up with the plane and moving about in erratic motions while emitting bursts of light. These claims were also verified by civilian and military radar, leading some to believe the thousands of disappearances in the Alaska Triangle could be attributed to aliens. Another possible theory suggests a swirling, huge energy vortex, or multiple of these huge energy vortexes, exist within the Alaska Triangle. Supposedly, the direction these vortexes spin can influence human behavior. For instance, a clockwise spin of the energy vortex creates positive emotions and behaviors, while counterclockwise spinning can induce negative behaviors and emotions. Granted, electronic readings report significant magnetic irregularities within the Alaska Triangle, and search teams have reported their compasses being more than 30 degrees off. Some have also reported feeling disoriented, hallucinatory, or otherwise just off, which could account for why people get lost or crash in the Alaskan Triangle. Now, some of you that may not be into the paranormal as much as I am might not realize how strangely electromagnetic fields, or EMFs, can affect the human body. It can basically make a person go insane. Mentally, physically, nothing feels right. You'll get paranoid. You'll feel like someone's watching you. You'll feel like you're hearing things. You'll start seeing things. And it all varies person to person. There's nothing that says, oh, hey, this is going to affect you this way or this isn't. So it's completely random. And until you go through it, you don't know how it's going to affect you. So could that contribute to some of these disappearances and why people end up so flawed in their own travel and navigation? And then we have our last final major possible cryptid paranormal theory for the Alaska Triangle. What I can find to be Alaska's version of a skinwalker, the Kushtaka. The Kushtaka is similar in appearance to an otter. Sidebar, otter's my favorite animal. If I could ever get an otter as a pet, I would. If anybody knows how I can make that happen, drop it in the comments. Just saying. But this otter often most appears to those lost in the woods as trusted friends, leading the victim deeper into the wilderness. Then it tears them apart or turns them into a Kushtaka itself. So, what is your theory? What do you think is the cause of all the disappearances in the Alaska Triangle? Myself, I can say, as someone who's been fascinated with Alaska for a long time, I take part in wanting to live a homesteading, survival kind of lifestyle, and I've always thought Alaska would be a good place to do that in. I tend to lean more towards the realistic physical aspects of it. The weather, the climate, the terrain, the unknowledge of the area, it being uninhabited, so there are no roadways or trails or anything to follow. Not knowing what you're getting into when you go out into that area. But in the cases of these planes, how does that explain it? They have tools, they have items that navigate for them. Yes, the magnetic frequencies can make those go awry. But if you have enough experience doing this, how do you not know already what to do and where to go? Or at least know how to adapt to the changes that might happen with things that could go wrong along the way? Or do you buy into the more paranormal aspects, the Kushtaka, legends of the native Alaskan people being in the area and things being disturbed? Other cryptids that could be in the area, like Wendigos or aliens, knowing it's such a desolate place that they can easily abduct people and things in this area, and nobody would ever assume it was aliens because they can never find anything or any sign of them. Partially that being of the weather changes. Any kind of footprints or traces or anything can get covered up in the matter of minutes if a blizzard hits in Alaska. It can cover a whole area. So how would you ever know if something landed there? You would have to wait months, possibly years, for everything to thaw out enough for you to be able to see things that were left in the Alaskan wilderness. So, is the Alaska Triangle simply the product of unforgiving wilderness? Or does something more mysterious lurk within its vast and frozen landscape? So let me know in the comments what you think. What is your idea? What would you bet your life on if you had to? Why do people disappear in the Alaskan Triangle? Since this was a little bit of a shorter episode, I'm going to take this time and give a little bit of an update on the overall situation here at Cadoom and from the tomb with Cadoom and for myself. Over the next 2 weeks, big things are going to be happening and changing in life, and I am improving the quality and content of this podcast and the brand and the quality and type of products I can put out as far as the Cadoom's custom side of the business goes. I have a couple projects that I am working on getting rolled out and ready to launch within the next couple months to go along with From the Tomb with Cadoom. I have some brand plans I want to do overall that I want to prepare for. Buying a new piece of equipment to launch new brand merchandise and available products for merchandising and customs clients. Trying to make everything happen for you guys and me as well, and show everybody that we can make things happen and we can keep getting things done as long as we are working together and supporting each other and trying to get each other further. It doesn't matter what kind of interests you have. It doesn't matter what kind of oddball you may be. You can take advantage of your situations in life in whatever ways it's possible and improve your situation and get to where you want to be doing what you want to do and what you love to do. I'm hoping to start spreading that message a lot more with these new projects and new products and other things I can start doing. I'm going to be releasing some new styles of content as well that I think some of you may be interested in that I'm not ready to give away too much of yet. Next week, we continue down this mausoleum of the Triangle Files with the Bridgewater Triangle here at From the Tomb with Cadoom. That will be on Wednesday at 7 p.m. So tune in on YouTube or your favorite podcasting platform. Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Bridgewater Triangle. Go follow Cadoom on all social media platforms and your favorite podcasting platform. I will see you Wednesday. Remember to escape your tomb and keep it twisted until we crack my tomb open again next week.